Hi, this is Mrs. Scott, and I'm going to go through our notes for the Chapter 1 test, or the first test that we have in web design. So you have these fill-in-the-blank notes in the classwork tab of Google Classroom, so you can open those up and follow along and fill in the blanks as we go. So this is our introduction to HTML. And HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. I'll fill in the blanks for you. Hypertext markup language, and that's what we use to create web pages. So we use angle brackets, or like a less than and greater than sign. They surround the code that are used to create web page content. A document declaration, like what you see here, is the first tag that's going to go on any page that you create. The letters in the document declaration are case sensitive. So make sure you're careful whenever you type it. So the doc type does have to be in all caps after the exclamation point, and HTML does have to be in lowercase. So a pair of HTML tags is used to show what part of your page is written in HTML. So that's the next thing that comes after the doc type declaration. And then it's followed by a pair of body tags. The pair of body tags goes around the visible page content. So anything that you want to be viewed when your page is hosted, then it has to be after the opening body tag that looks like this, and after the closing body, the closing body tag that looks like that. And we've practiced headings in class. So headings are used to create titles and kind of make different sections on your page. So H1 is used for main headings, largest headings, and then H6 is the smallest heading size. And then you have all the numbers in between. So H1 is the largest, H2 is the second largest, H3, and so on down to H6. So those create, the text is bold in a heading, and it also, after the heading, moves the text down to the next line. And paragraphs hold plain text. That's our next blank. I can't spell today, but there we go. And the tags look like what you see here. So you can have an opening P tag, and then at the end of all your sentences or your paragraphs, you have a closing P tag. We have not used this yet, but BR is an individual tag because it has no closing. And really an individual tag, and we'll use others of these also, this won't be the only one, it's just the first one. Since it doesn't have a closer, it'll have a slash at the end of the tag. So that just denotes that it's a tag unto itself. The BR creates a line break. So that's our first individual tag that we'll use. All right, we use UL, and I'm going to show you what that looks like down here in a minute, to create bullet points. And UL stands for unordered list. So bullet points just has like the dots next to it. They're not in any particular order. And to create numbered ordered lists, then we use OL for ordered. And then within the list, we use LI around every item that will be included on a list. So you need to see it as an example for it to make more sense. So what you see here, I'm going to indent this so it's easier to see. So our code is UL, opening UL, and then we have a closing UL just once. So we just have that to say like, okay, here's our list. And then within the list, we have to have an element for every item that we want to be included on the list. So we have opening LI tag and a closing LI tag around the word red. So that's our content, and the same thing for blue and green. So that would make, whenever we run our page, this is what you would see on the web page. A bulleted list like this, red, green, blue. Okay, and then we can do a numbered list. So this is the same thing. Again, I'm going to indent this because it's easier on the eyes. We have the same thing here. The only difference is the letter. So we have OL here and closing OL here. Everything else is the same. You do LI, you do the list items the same. You have to have an opening LI tag and a closing LI tag around every item that you want to be numbered. And so the only difference is the OL and the UL here. So this one has OL, so it makes it ordered, numbered 1, 2, 3. So those are lists. We will talk about the 4 main components of a web page. Document type is the declaration. Oops. And it looks like what you see there. We talked about that at the very beginning. HTML, this is just saying that the page, oops, it's going to be everything within these 2 pages, or these 2 tags is in HTML language. So anything that you want not showing on your page, but included that's in HTML code needs to be between opening HTML tag and closing HTML tag. So this is close to the very top, and this closing HTML tag should be the last thing, the very bottom of your code. Okay, so the head holds metadata, which is just information about the page. And it begins with an opening head tag and ends with a closing head tag. So the head element, the opening and closing head tags, come after the closing HTML tag and before the opening body tag. So HTML metadata is data about the HTML document. Metadata is not visible page content. Metadata typically includes things like the document title, character set, style scripts. We also put in the head, we also put our internal style sheets, which we'll get started on soon. We'll talk about here in a minute in the notes. Visible page content. Anything that goes between the opening body tag and closing body tag is what you're actually going to see when the web page is hosted online. So here are our 4 main elements, and they're in order. Oops. So you can see them here. Metadata goes here in between the opening and closing head tag. Typically between the body, you've got a whole lot of, like a lot of lines of code there. Lots of HTML code in the body, because that's everything that you want a user to be able to see when they're looking at your web page. Our next thing in our notes is CSS, and that's also, we learned that along with our HTML. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and those describe the way that the HTML elements are going to be formatted on the screen. So they can control the layout of multiple pages all at once. And there are 3 different ways that you can add cascading style sheets. So we can have an inline style change. That's one way we can do it. We can have an internal style sheet, and we create that in the head section, which I want to change this to say head. And we can have an external style sheet by using an external CSS file. And we will learn all of those throughout this semester. The first one we're going to use is an internal style sheet. So I just want you to know that there are 3 different ways to do it. And first one we're going to do is an internal style sheet. So sometimes it's called an embedded style sheet. And whenever we do create an embedded style sheet or an internal style sheet, it defines the style or the formatting for one single HTML page. So like I said a second ago, an internal style sheet is always defined in the head section. So after the opening head tag, before the closing head tag, and it's always within a style element. So within that head, you will create another element with an opening style tag and a closing style tag. And let's scoot down here, and we're going to make one in a second. Okay, so you will have in your page you will already have a head. So we're just gonna pretend that's already there. And then to create your internal style sheet, you would go in the head. Hang on, I gotta fix this extra space or it's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, so within the head, we're gonna create a style sheet. So this is an internal style sheet and it controls the formatting for just this one page. Okay, so that's the start of our internal style sheet. So if we want to change the way that paragraphs are formatted, we use the name of the tag, which is P, lowercase, and then space, or I usually tab, and then we have a set of curly brackets like that, curly braces. And in there, we put the attribute. So let's say we just want to change the color of the text. So we'll do color, colon, and then you can type in a color name. You can also use a hexadecimal color value, but for now, we're just going to use the color name. Okay, so it's always separated by a colon. Okay, so in our style sheet, we have one element that we have styled. The element is P for all of our paragraphs. So any paragraph on our page that we create, anytime we create a P tag with text in it, the text is going to show up in whatever color we put here. So it could be red, it could be blue, whatever. We'll change it to whatever color we want, okay? And you can add other elements here too. So since we only know P and H1 right now, well, we know lists too, but for now we're just going to style P and H1. So we can set up the formatting for our headings. So if we're going to have an H1 tags, and maybe we want those to be, and we can do lots more than color in our internal style sheets, but we just know this right now, so we're going to go with it, okay? So we're going to set the color for any H1 tag that we create on our page to be, let's say, purple, just for kicks. Okay, so whenever we create our page, which we would come down here, and next we'd have the opening body tag. So whenever we create an H1 tag here, oops, and it might be web design class, I don't know, just making up a title there. When we run this program to see what it's going to look like when we host it, this will be in our body, of course. Web design class would show up, since it's an H1, it would show up as purple because that's what we've shown in our internal style sheet, which is this right here. That's how we've set it up. So we would have a purple H1 tag. And any paragraphs we type, I'll make it short. So we'll make a paragraph like this. It's in between our opening P tag and closing P tag. Then all this gibberish that I just typed would show up as blue, because in our internal style sheet, we set the color for anything that's in a P tag to be blue. Okay, I want to show you while we're on here how to get to your first assignment. So let's go here to your first page, and you're going to go to the classwork tab. And you see instructions from my first page. They look like this. So you're going to set up a page that's going to look like what you see here in this box. So you can see you have 3 headings and then 2 different lists. One is ordered, numbered 1 through 7 with your classes. One is bulleted, so it's an unordered list, and then you have a paragraph. Okay, so to work on that, you're going to go to REPL. I'm going to show you how to get started on there. So Replit.com is the site we're going to use. And when you go there, you'll have to log in. I'm going to log out so that I can show you how to log back in. It's going to look like this. Remember, when you come here, you always log in. You never have to type in a username or anything like that. We just continue with Google. Okay, so you just log in. As long as you're already logged into Google, you'll be in good shape. And it's going to try to give you some advertisements. You can just X out of those. So we'll say new REPL. Remember, our language for this class is always HTML. And this is called, we're going to give the name, my first page. Sounds like we're babies. And then create REPL. And you'll come here and you will type your, actually you can delete lines. 4, 5, 6, 7.